Hello and welcome to the NextPowerUp impressions of Just Cause 3. This is the game by Avalanche Studios, third in the series, and it's looking at jumping into the same sort of shoes that Just Cause 2 did, but with more everything. And so far, I've probably played just a few hours. I've played every night since Thursday, so I've gotten a fair few hours under my belt so far, and initial impressions are looking pretty good. The first thing I want to say is the water textures and the water physics are by far some of the best water everything I've ever seen. Speedboats, hop across the waves, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Underwater is a bit sort of all one color and everything, but it's still really good. I have to say this game has probably got some of the best water design probably in the whole AAA industry, so that's pretty awesome. In terms of actual content, there are more cars, there's more vehicles, weapons, the whole works. There's more everything. The map is bigger, the map is prettier. I have to say that it looks like they've probably gone into a more contrasty, vibrant colour scheme. I know Just Cause 2 was still quite a pretty game, but in this game it feels like the reds are more red, the blues are more blue, and just everything's a bit more very, very busy colours. And it has, honestly, even though the game is set across like this massive 400-kilometre squared area, it feels like someone has gone through every single kilometre squared and designed it individually, because you can literally just get yourself into a parachute, climb, start rappelling across the countryside, and everything looks different. Everything looks wonderfully crafted. And if you go down to like the floor and you just look around, you can't tell that anything has necessarily been copied and pasted to hell. Even the military compounds in every single town, they all look different. They're all designed slightly different. Some of them have different entrances. Some of them you can blow your own entrances. Some of them contain different objectives. And it's just a very well-crafted world so far. So I'm really enjoying the fact that I can go anywhere on this absolutely enormous map and just look at things and think, oh, this is different. I remember when I was playing Dying Light, and there was someone on the NextPowerUp forums who mentioned that if you looked at all of the buildings and the way that all of the boxes were put everywhere, if you compared every single screenshot, every single room was laid out identically, because what they'd done is they'd just put buildings in all these different shapes and sizes, but internally everything was the same, identical, same layout, the whole works. And it was a little bit, cheaty. Whereas in Just Cause 3, everything is different, like the whole works. And it's not just a case of if you want to liberate a town, you go and destroy everything. Obviously that plays a large part because the game spent so long developing really, really awesome explosions, and having explosions now have more effect on everything. But they've also made it so that in order to liberate things, you might have to do little different objectives, like shut down some generators or explode them. Shut down some listening devices which you can't just destroy. So it's actually made liberating towns a little bit more mixed up. And also the game is slightly more, the AI is still pretty basic. The AI is not that great. Obviously it's designed to not be amazing so that you can just go around and commit mass murder on an enormous scale. But the AI is still sensible, so if you're in a helicopter flying over the sea attacking an oil platform, they'll send helicopters after you. If you're in a tank destroying a massive base, they'll send tanks after you. If you have a maximum star rating, they will send aircraft that are very, very difficult to grapple onto at the early game, that will do these tactical airstrikes on top of you. So they have developed the AI so it's a little bit more robust and a little bit more defensive and a little bit more tactical in the way that it responds to you trashing through various cities in a tank with an automatic barrel on it. And everything is like Just Cause 2 but better. One of the things that happened to me in Just Cause 2 was I initially got the game and thought, wow, this game is amazing, this is awesome, what game has ever done stuff that this did? And so I started it, did the first couple of missions, and then got sidetracked. And then I started messing around, unlocking different things, doing some challenges. And then about 4 weeks later, after playing the game damn near every day, I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what my main objective was. And I literally could not get back onto the main mission thing because nothing was particularly clear. And what I quite like so far is that the game is quite a bit more streamlined. I'm not saying it's linear or anything like that, but it's made the sort of pacing a lot better, so that you can literally say, yes, I'm going to go do this mission, but on the way I'm going to annihilate these 3 towns, liberate this town, take over this military base, maybe unlock this stuff, but you can still very easily find your way back on track. And that's assisted by the fact that there's these radio signals So if you're through a town, you'll get these radio signals and say, hey, there's a mission over here. Oh, hey, there's an objective to do over here. And so it's quite good. They've done a very, very good job of getting that sorted out so far. The wingsuit is awesome. I had a little bit of trouble getting used to the way you do things. Like when you're speeding along in a speedboat, you can't just press space to jump out and parachute. You sort of jump on the speedboat and you can walk around while it's still driving. And then parachute. So sometimes it takes a little bit of get used to, like parachuting and rappelling, and you can press control to pause the rappel, to cancel it basically, and just sort of carry on gliding. But if you press control to cancel the rappel, but it automatically cancels itself already, you end up leaving your parachuting stance or whatever, falling to the ground, and then you have to quickly parachute and you've lost all that speed. So it's a little bit... the controls are a little bit all over the place, and one massive annoyance I have at the moment is you can't aim. There was never any aim down sight in Just Cause 2 unless you had a sniper rifle, but you can't sort of focus in a little bit more. Like in normal third-person games, you right-click and it focuses closer over the shoulder. In this, you can't do that because it's a mod, and I don't agree with that, and I think it's pretty stupid, and I'm not a fan. The other thing I find absolutely hilarious about this game is that the main villain have the letters DRM as their acronym, which I don't know whether the developers have done that on purpose as a sort of anti-DRM on the PC message, which if they have done, that's awesome, or whether they've just done it to... It's just a coincidence. I'm hoping it's not a coincidence. But there's tons of weapons. I've unlocked hardly anything so far. I've liberated like 20 towns and yet still not unlocked massive areas. I've unlocked a couple of vehicles, and one thing I've noticed is that you get quite a small selection of vehicles available to you like immediately. So you'll be roaming around these large areas, and they'll all probably be the same vehicle. But as you progress through the game, you then start to see more different types of vehicles. So don't jump in and go, oh, there's only 5 vehicles in this game plus the military stuff, because they do seem to give you more as you progress, and as you get through the main storyline, and as you liberate more vehicles appear to crop up, and more weapons crop up a lot. If you just spend a lot of time jumping through towns and stuff, you'll very quickly find different weapons for you to pick up, so you won't be limited to those sort of AK, M16 sort of stuff too much. And the missions are remarkably diverse. I've just done the mission where you go through a town, annihilate some tanks, and then follow a car. Like, the missions are really well done so far. They're all very, very varied, and they're not just a simple case of go here, empty this compound that you've been doing for the last 20 hours already. So far, it's actually looking to be relatively good. One thing I am noticing is enemies are a bit bullet spongy, and vehicles that are a bit bullet spongy, and everything is really reliant on hit detection at the moment. So you'll be in a helicopter with 2 miniguns attached, and you'll be shooting at this vehicle for like a minute, and the vehicle won't explode. But then if you sort of move over to the front of the vehicle and shoot at the bonnet, it explodes in about 3 seconds. So one thing I have noticed is that there are a couple of and buildings as well, and little objectives and those like projector things that you've got to destroy. There's quite a number of cases where if you shoot at something for ages and you're not shooting it in the designated exploding spot, nothing happens, or something does happen but only after a very prolonged period of time, which is a little bit annoying, I have to say. And another thing I feel like they've ruined slightly is the toppling of statues. I don't know whether you can upgrade your grappling hook or something, but I found that toppling statues is really, really difficult now, and I had very little success. And even when I had a helicopter, I would drive up with a helicopter and shoot it with this minigun for ages and ages and ages, and it wouldn't topple the statue. And the one solution I found was by grappling 2 cars to a statue and then forcing them into it, and then it explodes. And that seems to be a reasonably reliable way of destroying a statue. But I was thinking, he's got his arm out, and so I stuck one to one hand, stuck one to his head, so he would, face palm, but it didn't happen, and that was a little bit disappointing. And I do remember statues being a little bit more entertaining in Just Cause 2, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, because it feels like they've sort of ruined one of the key aspects of that. But statues are made up of a ton of like voxel based thing, so statues can be chipped away at in different ways. You can sort of break off an arm, And one thing I do like to do is attach statues to pedestrian vehicles that are still driving, and they go all crazy because their AI is pretty mad. Another thing that's probably the same in this game as it was in Just Cause 2 is that even though you're liberating the island, you're still accidentally murdering all of its inhabitants, and perhaps accidentally on purpose shooting their vehicles as well. And the main reason I found for that is in a couple of areas where you have to liberate it by causing havoc, where you build up so many havoc points by destroying enemy stuff. There were no enemies, and I still hadn't filled the havoc meter. And so I was driving around this town in circles waiting for an enemy to spot me. And out of boredom, I just decided to start destroying pedestrian cars in an effort to increase my star scale so that enemies would actually come and attempt to kill me. So that was a little bit odd, to be perfectly honest. There are some cases where enemies where your sort of alert scale doesn't go up fast enough. Whereas in other instances where I went on a full-scale attack against a massive military compound, it went up like that, and I was immediately set upon by about 3 Air Force jets dropping bombs on me. So I don't know. There are a very select few areas where I think they could improve, and I know it's a PC game and driving's never great on keyboard, but again, driving is not great on this. Cars are suitably arcadey, very arcadey, and I'm happy for this game to have cars that drive like soapboxes, but driving on keyboard is not the easiest of things at this point. And it's quite difficult, and it's a little bit weird, and you can move the camera with your mouse, except it sort of auto focuses back to the center after a while. I don't know, camera movement when you're driving is a little bit odd. They have improved aircraft and helicopter flying, which a lot of people have been moaning about, saying, oh, have they fixed this? Yeah, they have. Helicopters are a bit easier to sort out now. It's just that camera on cars is a little bit weird. So overall, I'm having a blast with this. I've only played for a number of hours, and I've already managed to get sidetracked several times, but managed to get back on course. I haven't done any challenges or unlocked any mods just because I've been so sidetracked doing liberating towns and villages and stuff. So I'll probably spend this weekend trying to do a bunch of challenges, maybe progressing the story and see if I can't unlock some mods and some more vehicles. So overall, things are looking good. Very, very shiny game. And if you like Just Cause 2, I imagine Just Cause 3 is going to solve a lot of your problems for you. So join us next week on Thursday for our full review summary video, and of course the full written review and the performance analysis, and then next week on Saturday for our Next Week in Gaming episode. So catch us next Thursday. I have made a Steam creator group now, so you can join our creator group for all our game recommendations, and also for all events that I do will now be put up on the calendar on that Steam group. So if you just look for NextPowerUp on the Steam app or on the Steam web browser, then you should be able to find us on there, and we'll alert you of any events that come up. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying Just Cause 3 as much as I will, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week.